All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I am Mark Mariano, and coming up in a few minutes, we'll be having John Patrick Green on, the author and writer and artist of the awesome InvestiGators series. We have an awesome lineup for you today, so hang around all day. We have just a ton of fun scheduled. Let me throw up this graphic one more time. Get your supplies ready because we want you creating art with us. We want you sending us your comments, your jokes, whatever you want to send us as we continue this fun programming here at the Baltimore Comic-Con. So we want you to get your colored paper, glue, scissors, crayons, markers, and pencils. I got mine over here, stolen from my son. So look at all these crayons. Have you ever had this many choices? I know at comic conventions, I do a lot of commissions, and when I have this amount, it's very tough for me to find the right color. So sometimes the traditional 8 crayons might be your best bet. Also, later on today, make sure you get some paper bags. If you have some paper lunch bags, grab those, have those at the ready. Parents and kids, we want everyone joining in. We're going to be making paper bag puppets later today as well. So yes, let's get right to it. So my first guest that I'm going to have on, he is the writer and artist of the awesome InvestiGators series. And just to kick things off, we're gonna show one of the trailers. Right. Here we go. Dude, that's awesome. Fantastic. Oh, I'm loving it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. John Patrick Green. Welcome.
Hello. Hello.
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. Very good. So that trailer was just super fun, super quick, and just full of laughs and excitement. So tell us a little bit about the InvestiGators, John.
Yeah, so InvestiGators, it's a graphic novel. It's a chapter book graphic novel about 2 alligators who wear vests and they solve crimes. So they're investigators. Their names are Mango and Brash, and their vests are actual VESTs. So which stands for Very Exciting Spy Technology. And so the vests have all sorts of gadgets and stuff that will help them solve mysteries and stuff.
That's fantastic. Very cool. Very cool. And now, so you have 2 books are out currently, right?
Yes.
And the third one's about to drop?
Well, the second one just came out.
That's right. Okay.
Just at the end of not even a month ago. And the third one comes out in February. So,
wow.
And then there's a 4th one, and I'm currently drawing the 5th one. So.
Excellent. Excellent. Wow, fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, we do have John Patrick Green here, and you can, please, if you have any questions for him about the series, about the characters, shoot us some comments. We'd love to get your comments up here, and so you can ask John the question, and he'll answer it for you. In the meantime, I'm going to ask my own. One thing I always love asking, you probably get it a lot. Okay. Where did the idea come from?
Where did the idea come from?
Yes.
So essentially, it's hard to say where it came from as much as why it came.
Okay.
So I had previously done a book called Hippopotamister and 2 books called Kitten Construction Company, and those were early reader graphic novels. So they were closer to between picture books and chapter books. Right. And when I finished the second one of Kitten Construction Company, I had to come up with something new for my publisher. What was my next book going to be? And I wanted to sell them something really quick because at the time my editor was going to go on maternity leave. And I was like, I want to sign him a book before she's gone for 6 months. And she had asked if I had any ideas for a chapter book. And she was like, you should do a chapter book series. Come up with something in 3 days, basically. And so I kind of spent this feverish weekend of just writing down every single idea, good or bad, that I had. And it was like a list of like 22 ideas that were it was just single line descriptions, and there would be like Dr. Copter. He's a doctor that can turn into a helicopter. And then investigators, they're alligators that investigate crimes, and like there'd be a whole entire page of those ideas. And I sent those to her. And
so these are just ideas at this point. These aren't
they were just ideas.
Or anything, just ideas.
It was really just 1 or 2 sentences describing each idea, and they were mostly unrelated. So it was just random ideas I had. I'm sure I have the list somewhere with some of the things that haven't gotten used.
Sure.
But basically, she took a day or so to look at them, and then she just said, InvestiGators sounds like it has the most potential. And I was like, okay, give me your top 5. And then she listed things like Dr. Copter or Houdino, who was just pitched as a dinosaur who's like Houdini. And so I just took all the other ideas that she likes, and I made them the supporting cast.
Fantastic.
So once that idea, which is like, it's an old joke, investigators, alligators invests. It's like a schoolyard joke that, I didn't necessarily come up with, but I figured this is an opportunity to put my own spin on it. Right?
Excellent.
So that's basically how it came about.
And I take this as even as a good, for teachers or students that are watching now, I mean, this would be a cool idea to do, is just like John did. He just listed a bunch of ideas, even no matter how silly they might have been, and then it can grow into something more. So even though you did list, so how many total you think you gave her? Like
it was 22.
So even though
different ideas.
Right. So even though it's like a list of 22 different ideas, in the end, you end up using not only investigators, but you also came up with a supporting cast that helped build that world. So
exactly. Yeah. There was nothing planned in advance of sort of like even just writing the first story. It was basically just, I had those ingredients, right? The things that the editor thought were funny. And I said, okay, now I have to put them all into a pot and stir it up and see what comes out.
Exactly.
And that's like an activity that you can do either by yourself or you can do with friends, where like you can take a bunch of your friends and you all write down 2 or 3 ideas. And then you say, okay, now we have to put them all in a story and see what comes out.
Yeah, we do similar things like that at the Baltimore Comic-Con, when we have a bunch of people just give us ideas, and we sort of put it all on one drawing board, and a lot of times they'll mix together in one big picture, and so that's always fun. And now with these books, are they each book is self-contained, or is there an overlying arc that also connects the books together?
Well, there's recurring themes, and they're definitely they're supposed to be standalone. You can start anyone from the beginning,
right?
But there's definitely callbacks, and so you'll miss some information, but it's just like deeper understanding of some of the jokes of the world or the characters if you read them all in sequence. But each so each kind of like ends in a bit of a cliffhanger, sometimes a little bit, but really it's not. It's the full story is resolved in each book. It's just sort of a setup for. We
gotta want our readers wanting more, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We have a comment from J. Robert Deans. He says, "Is there a chance that a Dr. Copter spinoff could take off?"
Well, I mean, he does spin off quite a lot. That's really not up to me. I think the extent to his adventures that we'll see will probably be contained within the pages of InvestiGators. His longest sequence is his origin story in the first book. Excellent. A flashback, which is basically a callback to an homage to An American Werewolf in London.
Gotcha. Very cool. And the thing about creating these books is then a lot of times with the characters and the world it is, they almost start telling their own stories, and you almost start growing the universe just very organically, right? Like you can see like the universe that you're creating, you can like, oh, well, this guy might work well against someone else, and that'll help you grow someone else as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. The first book, I had all these characters and I had kind of a loose plot, but I didn't really define who any of them they were until the story was kind of completed. And so with each time I start a new book, I'm using that as a foundation, and I'm building on top of it to kind of discover who these characters are as they go along. I didn't really start, so for the first book was a little bit improvised. Right. I kind of made it up as I went. And with each book, it kind of becomes less and less of that, because you have so much stuff that you have to sort of stick to, right? You can't, you've established things, so you can't really contradict them anymore. So you have to sort of be aware of what you've done to proceed and make characters consistent. Yeah, absolutely.
And now when you get about the InvestiGators and the vests that they wear, they all have a bunch of different gadgets that help them out, right?
Yes.
And recently, you and your publisher, you guys ran a contest.
We had a.
Before we start discussing, let's get some gadget ideas. If we have any gadget ideas you want to list in the comments about what gadgets would help the InvestiGators save the day. And then go ahead, John, tell us about the contest that you had.
So the contest, it was an Invent a Vest contest. And Vest, since it stands for Very Exciting Spy Technology, it doesn't just have to be like what type of vest they wear. It can be what kind of like gadgets that vest might have, or anything that would relate to them being able to solve a crime. So the contest was for kids to either draw or just describe a cool gadget or vest, equipment that Mango and Brash could use in a future investigation. And the prize is that we draw a page featuring their invention. Mm-hmm. And it's going to appear. The winner was announced, and I think I tweeted out the page. It'll be in the third book is where it will actually appear, where the Gators try out the invention.
That is awesome. So the actual invention appears in the book. So that's great.
It'll actually appear in the book. And then get mentioned. And now it's part of the canon. It's part of the continuity.
I love that.
So oddly enough, like there was a part in book 5, like this invention that this kid came up with was so cool. It was cool little thing. So in book 5, there was just naturally a part in the story where I'm like, oh wait, if they had this invention with them, they'd be able to solve part of this mystery right away. So now I have to write a line to say that they didn't bring it with them.
Okay, so that was going to be another question I had. Is like, when writing this, you don't want them too packed with all these awesome gadgets, because it could be a quick solve, right?
Exactly. Yeah. As a writer, you have limits on there. They can't be. It's kind of like if Batman had everything in his utility belt. Like, there's got to be some limits to their abilities.
Right. All right, so we have J. Robert Dean says a vest with a hot dog dispenser would be great. All right, I could see if you're facing off against a giant lion or something, and you need a quick snack to throw them. That would be good. And then let's see, he also said, John, do you reread previous volumes when you write your next books, or do you keep a notebook to keep track of your key points?
I don't keep a notebook, but I do read the previous books as I'm writing, just to make sure I'm keeping things more or less consistent.
Of course, we want some kind of consistency.
Every now and then you realize you might have written yourself into a hole when you go back and you read a book and you're like, oh wait, this character never met that character, so or vice versa.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of tough. But yeah, and also they still make me laugh.
Absolutely. Yes, that's the beauty of it, right? All right, so let's draw some gadgets. What do you think? You want to draw some gadget ideas, or you want to do
sure. So like usually the way I think of gadgets is I usually think of like, what would they go undercover as? So what can their vest be? Like a construction vest, or a train engineer, or virtually anything. And then I usually think of gadgets that would be suitable for that job, but then also some that would be just absurd and crazy and wild. So I like your idea that the hot dog dispenser would be involved in like a lion taming situation.
Yes.
So I'm gonna draw that. I think I'm gonna draw a vest that they might have in a lion taming sort of situation.
Excellent. Okay, so there's multiple different vests that match the disguises of the investigators.
Yeah. So they usually have to go and get a customized vest for each undercover assignment. That's usually what scenario they're stuck in.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know if people will be able to see.
We'll make you solo here. So here we go.
Okay. So I'm gonna draw a vest, and the way I draw the vests are pretty easy. It's kind of like an M shape with a W at the bottom. That might be a little bit wonky, but there you go.
Good.
And then a couple of buttons, and there you go. So there's the basic vest shape. So if there's going to be, I'm going to draw Mango. There's one of the gators. I'm going to draw Mango here. It's going to be tough because I usually never draw like this.
Yes, of course.
There you go. And some eyes like that. There we go. And give him a quick smile. Okay. Of course, there's more to him. He does have arms and stuff, but that's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's a lion tamer with a hot dog dispenser. So I'm gonna just start with the vest gadget here. Their gadgets are usually attached. They start off attached anyway to like little robotic arms. Usually they come out of the buttons, but they can almost kind of come out of anywhere. It's a little bit like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna have a hot dog stuck at the end of this thing. Almost looks like a cigar. There we go. There's a hot dog with a little seam at the end. And so
no bun necessary, right? No bun necessary.
Yeah. So he's a lion tamer. So he can either be sort of like, should he be like in the jungle trying to find a lion, or should he be like a circus lion tamer?
I'm thinking in the jungle.
In the jungle. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna give him some like leopard spots so that he can blend in. This is nice. So he's gonna look. He might look a little bit like a Dalmatian, but this is supposed to be like leopard spots. He's like Craven the Hunter.
Yeah.
from a Spider-Man, I guess, in this scenario. Trying to lure a, I'll give him the fur collar that
Love it.
Craven has. So he's trying to lure some lions with hot dogs, but also not get eaten by other animals. So he's disguised as a leopard here. I'm kind of losing my angle. I'm just going to finish off his body more or less. It's going to be a little wonky. And give him some feet here. There we go. Give him a tail like that. It's got little ridges. And then his arm over there. And then I'll have him waving his other arm.
Yoo-hoo, lion.
That's right. It's like, yo, lion, I got some hot dogs. Give him some eyebrows there. Okay. And then, so that's basically him in his lion attracting,
I love that.
hot dog dispensing disguise.
Fantastic. And J. Robert says, InvestiCraven. So
InvestiCraven. Yes.
there you go.
There we go.
That's great stuff.
There you go. And that's basically, a lot of times that's kind of just how randomly it all comes together.
Right.
There are some things that aren't really planned. I just the alligators end up in a crazy situation. So whatever is funniest or silliest is usually the best way to do it.
That's fantastic. Fantastic, John. We have a question from our good friend, John Gallagher. He says, do you ever put cameos of Hippopotamuster or Kitten Construction Company in InvestiGators?
I do, very much so. There's Hippo and Red Panda from Hippopotamuster can be seen near the end or near the middle-ish to the end of the first InvestiGators. They're in a background scene. One of the kittens, Bubbles, the white cat, is actually in a scene in the first book.
Okay.
And retroactively references what happens in the first InvestiGators all the way back in the first Kitten Construction Company. I'm kind of loosely connecting the worlds. And then the second InvestiGators, you can see all three kittens. They have a more noticeable cameo.
Oh, that's fantastic. Very cool. And how about friends? Do you ever put in friends into your into the background, like background characters?
Like Monica and Chandler.
Oh.
No. Yeah. This is a dated 90s references.
Yes.
No, sometimes actually I did. There's a scene in the flashback, the Dr. Copter flashback, where he goes into this little tavern in Scotland where my friend Dave, and frequent collaborator, there's little cartoons of us arm wrestling in the background.
Oh, fantastic.
But yeah, sometimes I'll work things in. It's tough because with the cartoon style, it's so very, very boiled down into just geometric shapes that it can be hard to do like a caricature of a real person and have, unless it's like a celebrity or something where you can kind of make it recognizable. Right. It's like, a lot of times I'll draw my friends as little cartoons, but I'm gonna, they won't even notice that it's supposed to be them. I'll notice it.
True.
Like I put my family in the background of Hippopotamuster, but I didn't tell the colorist that it was my family, so they just went with whatever colors. Yeah. So it doesn't look like them now, but I know it's them.
Right. Well, John, thank you so much for being with us today. We had a fun time. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to investigatorsbooks.com. You go to any, you can pick up these fun books wherever books are sold. And John, we hope to see you at future conventions in real life.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and keep on investigating.
I will. Thank you for having me.
Suit up. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.